You know, athletes and regular people suffer injuries every day. One of them is called a Charlie horse. Now, the origination of that term has a direct relation to this athlete we're covering today, Charles Radbourn, or many call him Hoss or Old Hoss. Now, a very, very talented baseball player in the late 19th century. His passing in 43 at age of 42 made headlines. Excuse me, 43, because he was considered one of the most popular players of the era. Old Hoss Radbourn, born Charles Gardner Radbourn in Rochester, New York. Again, nicknamed Old Hoss. He played 12 seasons in MLB for Buffalo in 1880, Providence 81 to 85, Boston of the National League 86 to 89, Boston of the Players League of 1890, and Cincinnati 1891. Born in New York and raised in Illinois, he played semi-pro ball and minor league baseball before he's making his major league debut for Buffalo at age 26. Now, after a young 1 year stint with the club, he joined the Province's Grays. During the 84 season, he won 60 games, setting an MLB single season record that has never been broken or even seriously approached. He also led the NL in earned run average and strikeouts to win the Triple Crown, and the Grays won the league title. After the regular season, he helped the Grays win the 1884 World Series, pitching every inning of the three-game set. Now, he was a 300-game winner in Major League Baseball, 310, 194, with 1,830 strikeouts and a 2.68 ERA. Now, in 85, when the Grays folded, the roster was transferred to NL Control, and Radbourn was claimed by Boston. He spent the next 4 seasons with the popular club and 1 year with the Boston franchise of the single-season Players League. He finished his ML career with Cincinnati, and of course was inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1939, 4 decades after his passing. Now again, born in Rochester, New York, December 11th, 1854, he was the second of 8 children to Charles and Caroline Gardner Radbourn. Charles the Elder had immigrated to the States from Bristol, England to find work as a butcher, and Caroline followed soon after. Now in 1855, the family moved to Bloomington, Illinois, where Radbourn was raised. As a teen, he worked as a butcher with his father and as a brakeman for the Indiana, Bloomington, and Western Railway Company. I can imagine the conversation in the workroom. So, what's your background? Well, I'm a baseball player, I'm a butcher, and also work the rails. I mean, who can make this up? Now, in 1878, he joined the Peoria Reds, a barnstorming team, as a right fielder and change pitcher. No substitutions were allowed at the time, so if the starting pitcher became ineffective in the late innings, the change pitcher, usually playing a right field, would exchange positions with the starter to try to save the game, literally and figuratively. In 1879, he signed with Dubuque in the newly formed Northwest League. Radbourn made his major league debut in 1880 at second as a right fielder and change pitcher for the Bisons of Buffalo in the National League. He played in 6 contests, batted at 143, and never pitched an inning, but practiced so hard he developed a sore shoulder and was released. When he recovered, he pitched for a pickup Bloomington team in an exhibition game against the Province's Grays. He impressed everyone so much that Providence signed him on the spot for a salary variously reported as $1,100 to $1,400. Big money at the time. Now, during Radbourn's first season with the Grays in 1881, he split pitching duties with John Montgomery Ward. Radbourn pitched 325.1 innings and had a win-loss record of 25-11. He became the team's primary pitcher in 1882, 466 innings, 33-19 with a 2.11 ERA. He led the NL with 201 strikeouts and 6 blanks, and was second best in wins and ERA. In 1883, he pitched 632.1 innings and led the association wins, going 48-25. He's 205 ERA and 315 strikeouts, both ranked him second in the NL. Now, when Providence failed to win the pennant in 1883, the franchise immediately took a turn and was on shaky financial ground. Ownership brought in a new manager, Frank Bancroft, and made it plain: win the pennant or the team would be disbanded. Not as bad as the Arizona Salt Lake situation, but you get the gist. Now, early in the campaign, he shared pitching duties with the great Charlie Sweeney. Radbourn, who had a reputation for being vain, became jealous as Sweeney began to have more success, and the tension eventually broke out into violence in the clubhouse. Radbourn was faulted as the initiator of the fight and was suspended without pay after a poor outing on July 16th, having been accused of deliberately losing the game by lobbing soft pitches over the plate. However, on July 22nd, Sweeney had been drinking before the start of the game and continued drinking in a dugout between innings, Canadian softball at its best. Now, despite being obviously intoxicated, he managed to make it a 7th-inning with a 6-2 lead when Bancroft attempted to relieve him with the change pitcher. Sweeney verbally abused him before being ejected and stormed out of the park, leaving Providence with only 8 players. With only 2 players to cover the 3 outfield positions, the Grays lost the lead and then lost the game. Now afterward, Sweeney was kicked off the Grays, and this left the team in a state of disarray with the consensus view that this team should be disbanded. At that point, Radbourn offered to start every game of the rest of the season, having pitched in 76 of 96 games the season before, in exchange for a small raise and exemption from a reserve clause for the next season. From that point, from July 23rd to September 24th, when the pennant was clinched, Providence had a big rebound and probably one of the greatest series of games by any major league pitcher. Providence took the field 43 times, and Radbourn started 40 of them and won 36. Soon pitching every other day as he was, his arm became so sore he couldn't raise it to comb his hair. On game day, he was at the ballpark hours before the start, getting warmed up. He began his warm-up by throwing just a few feet, increasing the distance gradually until he was pitching from second base and finally from short center field. Now, a miracle specimen, he finished the season with a league-leading 678.2 innings pitched and 73 games. He won the Triple Crown that year with a record, unbelievable when you think of it, 60-12, a 138 earned run average and 441 strikeouts. And this wasn't against weak team. The league was quite strong. 60 wins in a season is a record which is expected never to be broken because no starter has made even as many as 30 starts in a season since 91. And the last person to break 30 was Denny McLean at 68, and that was an aberration. Also, his 678.2 innings pitched stands as second all time, behind only Will White, 680 in 1879, for a single season. Now, after regular campaign ended, the NL champion Grays playing the American Association champion New York Metropolitans in the '84 World Series. Radbourn started every game in a set and won all 3, while allowing just 3 runs, all unearned. So that season, 63 victories with only 12 defeats. Now, there is a discrepancy in Radbourn's victory total in 1884, however. The classic McMillan Baseball Encyclopedia, the current edition of the Elias Book of Baseball Records, his National Baseball Hall of Fame biography, and BaseballReference.com all credit Radbourn with 60 wins and 12 losses. Other sources, including Baseball Almanac, MLB.com, and Edward Acorn's 2010 book, 5964, give Radbourn's wins at 59. Some older sources, such as his tombstone plaque, counted as high as 62. There is no dispute about the 678.2 innings pitched, only over the manner in which the victories were assigned to pitchers. The rules in the early years allowed more latitude to the official score than they do today. Now a pitcher must get 5 innings if he's a starter, and a certain calculation who gets a save in the victory for relievers. According to, again, 2 league accounts, in the game on July 28 in Philadelphia, Cyclone Miller pitched 5 innings and left trailing 4-3. Providence scored 4 runs in the top of the 6th. Radbourn came on to relieve and pitched shutout ball over the final 4 innings, while the Grays went out to score 4 more runs and win the game 11-4. This would be a save. Now, the official scorer decided that Radbourn had pitched the most effectively and awarded him the win. Under the rules of the day, the scorekeeper's decision certainly made sense. However, under modern scoring rules, Miller would get the win, being the pitcher of record when he left the game, and Radbourn would have been credited with a save for closing the game and pitching effectively for 3 or more innings. Some modern sources retroactively awarded to win to Miller. Now, Radbourn pitched effectively in the majors several more years, but was not able to duplicate his successes of 83 and 84. In 85, he pitched 445.2 innings and went 28-11. I think there was more teetotalers on the starting staff at that time. Unfortunately, the Grays folded after the season, and the roster was transferred to NL control. Now, when he was claimed by Boston, he spent the next 4 seasons with the club, winning 27, 24, 7, and 20 games. He then jumped to the Rebel Players League, who were going to pay him more, and spent 1890 with the Boston club. But after the PL folded, he played the 91 season with Cincinnati, where he recorded his 300th victory before retiring. His career record ended up being 310 and 194, with most of the losses happening before that 60-win season. Now, after retiring from baseball, he opened a successful billiard parlor and saloon in Bloomington, Illinois. He was seriously injured in a hunting accident soon after retirement, in which he lost an eye. He died in Bloomington of complications on February 5th, 1897, at age 42, and was interred in the Evergreen Cemetery. Now, Radbourn was possibly inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1939. In 1949, a plaque was placed on the back of his elaborate headstone, detailing his distinguished career in baseball. And if you have a chance to visit his grave, it's quite tremendous. It's quite a history lesson. Now, in the 2001 book, The New Bill James Historical Baseball Abstract, James ranked Radbourn as the 45th greatest pitcher of all time and probably the best of his era. Now, it is speculated Radbourn might be the namesake of the Charlie horse, a painful leg cramp down like that from which he suffered. While the term Charlie horse does not come about from the time he was playing baseball, and new articles at the time mentioning the new disease seem to always relate it to baseball players, it seems to be because Charlie was for horses as rovers for dogs, and a reference to the stiff-leggedness that the condition focuses on, those who are experiencing it. Now, Radbourn is also known for being the first person photographed gesturing the middle finger. In 1886, an image was captured of them flipping off a member of the New York Giants in a team photo. Again, an interesting cat. So there's been speculation that ESPN or other media was going to do a series of 30 for 30s of baseball of that era, and he would be great. The comparisons I've seen to him, I know it's kind of weird because you wouldn't think. The Rolly Fingers, Catfish Hunter, Ken Holtzman, Oakland A's of the 1970s, they felt that Radbourn or Earl Haas had a lot of connections because when give me the ball, get your own ball. That fighting with his former teammate who went on that drunk, that reminds me a lot of the 1970s A's because he would fight in the clubhouse, but no one could criticize them outside the clubhouse because when a fight happened, the best of family fights. But he was a very handsome guy. He should have went into, movies or other entertainment. And like I said, he typically looked like a 19th century baseball player. And you think of the baseball players of back then, the enabler mustache, a very big guy, very imposing. But what a player. And when I was growing up, the term hoss was considered like strength, like a big guy. And this guy, he summed it up right here. So when we look at his some of his numbers, and I don't want you to be scared because they're pretty dynamite. We'll go over some of them. Again, 5'9", 168, but very imposing. Career ERA 268, 502 games started, 2 saves. Okay, here's the record, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be scared because I don't just do this very often. 25 and 11, 33 and 19, 48 and 25, 60 and 12, and that season again, 138, 75 games, with 1 save that year. Then 28, 21, 27, 31, 24 and 13, 7 and 16, 20 and 11, 27 and 12, and 11 and 13. So on a 162 game average, he would have go 20 and 13. That's based on 35 starts. But you give him 70 starts, he was going to probably win 40. Now, the only World Series victory was in 1884. Now, in batting, he was not too bad. He was career 235 and had time to hit 9 home runs and get 259 RBIs. And for a lot of people, his best season was 1883, where he had 48 RBIs. So he was getting a chance to play very often. So, I mean, old Haas, my God, Radbourn will always be memorable to the fans of the various Boston teams of that era. And just to recap again, Buffalo Bison's 1880, the Grays 81-85, the Bean Eaters 86-89, the Boston Reds in 1890, then the Cincinnati Reds in 1891. So Triple Crown 1884, two-time NL wins leader 83-84, ERA leader 84, two-time NL strikeout leader 1884. So that was the Triple Crown year. He also pitched a no-hitter on July 25th, 1883, and again, an MLB record of 60 wins in a season. But I don't think you're going to see any pitcher come close in any shape or form, even Ohtani, of getting those 1883 and 84 season. Yes, it was a different era, but I think Radbourn would be successful in any era. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here, we're a vintage baseball podcast. Let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share. And the new followers on the channel, just a reminder, we do requests here. Don't be afraid to make a request. And don't forget, if we can do anything, I'm not an expert on certain things, but I'm an expert on baseball. I played it, I watch it. This year marks my 55th year. On my 58 years on the planet, I've watched baseball. I started watching dating back to the old Expos in '69. I'm an expert on the NL East. I always will be because that's where Montreal was. And of course, the Toronto and Canadian teams. We've had quite a bit of legacy over the years. Bring the Expos back to Montreal as well. If you're going to shift to Utah for hockey, you got to shift one of those mediocre baseball teams to Montreal. Jackie Robinson's widow said that. We need to be back in Montreal. Thanks for listening, and have a great week. Bye.